Good morning, everyone. This is an Always Wolves special, and and this is oh, you've got is that your dog in the background there, Chris? Yeah. So
Yeah,
basically,
postman.
the postman's at the door. So yeah, so this is an Always Wolves special because last night major news dropped that Chairman Jeff Shi had been removed from post. We haven't had a chance to talk about it properly. I did a quick video last night. So I'm joined by Chris and Emma, literally just to go through the thoughts. We're going to go through all of the quotes. But first of all, Chris, can I just ask your initial reaction to the news?
I wouldn't say. Well, it's quite a difficult thing to sum up. I think I'm pleased. I mean, nobody wants to see people lose their job. I'm happy that changes are happening because they need to. Obviously, a little bit full of intrepidation about what's coming next, which we'll probably get onto in the course of this. But obviously, the trust put out a 23-point manifesto, and one of them was for the appointment of a footballing CEO. So I think we're halfway there. Let's hope that the rest of that follows on and they tick one of the points off.
Fantastic. And Emma, obviously, we kind of had the nod a little bit earlier in the day, but couldn't really say anything, could we, until it was official. When you get these nods, but until it's actually out there official, you don't want to really say anyway, and you don't want to betray any trust. But your reaction to the news?
Yeah, I've got finger eight from pressing refresh.
Waiting for the announcement.
Waiting for the announcement, yeah. A bit like Chris, really. You don't want to see anyone lose their job, but his position had become completely untenable. He'd overseen a period of chaos. I think 6 managers since 2021, 5 sporting or technical directors since 2020. That churn means inconsistency, muddled strategy, and left us as a club in a not great position. And Jeff oversaw this chaos. So I think it's fair that he's gone. I think he's probably held on a lot longer than he should have. But hopefully this is the first sign. We need more, but this is the first sign that Fosun are listening. And hopefully we can push on from here, and maybe a fresh new approach is just what we need.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've
If
called
that's
on
what we're going to get.
Yeah, well, we've called on the channel many. I mean, I've said it many times. Let Jeff go and look after the esports, where he obviously clearly focuses. I saw an article in the Athletic, which was done by Tim Spears today, that as part of his article, he said sources close to the club that need to be kept anonymous for the relationships have said that sometimes he's more focused on the esports than Wolves, and I think we all kind of got that sort of sense. So, like, if he wants to go off and do that, that's fine. And we've said it on the channel many times that we need he needs to be moved away so he can do all the things that he's good at and got more passion for, and bring in someone else because we've changed the managers multiple times. We've changed the sporting directors multiple times. We've changed everything else and spun all of these resets. The only thing that hasn't changed in all of this time has been the chairman, which is why, especially over the last year, calls for him to go have grown loader and loader across all channels, podcasts, fan bases, the trust, and of course recently in all the protests that have come together. And he is gone. He is gone. Let's get into. I want to just go through and just read you the article published by Wolves with all of the quotes, because there's 2 parts to this. There's the Jeff Shi who's gone, and then there's Nathan Shi that's come in, who is absolutely no relation at all. But when his name was Shi, you're just thinking, okay, but it's not.
It is actually a common it's a common name, Dave,
A bit
in
like
China.
Smith and Jones.
Yeah, it's similar to that, and of course they assume a name as well, which is like a grouping name. So, and I think Shi is one of these names that people assume. So,
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right with that. So anyway, it's one Shi out, one Shi in. But we'll come on to that. So it reads a statement from Wolves. The appointment is Nathan Shi had been appointed interim to executive chairman of Wolverhampton Wanderers Football Club. We'll come more on to talking about that. The appointment is subject to the completion of all requisite legal, regulatory, and Premier League procedures, and will take effect upon satisfactory of these conditions. Chris, we'll come back onto that because you might be able to talk a little bit more about that. In his role, Nathan Shi will work closely with new technical director Matt Jackson, head coach Rob Edwards, and other members of the senior management team to provide strategic leadership and guide throughout the club's next phase of its development. Nathan joined Fosun in 2016, brings extensive experience in the development of Fosun's core business segments, strong track record in project execution, operational management, and resource integration. And obviously goes on to say that Jeff Shi has stepped down from his role as chairman of Wolves, but he will remain chairman and CEO of Fosun Sports Group, but will have no operational duties directly relating to Wolves. The step down thing is going to be something we'll come back to in a minute. The board's obviously thanked Jeff for his service and leadership over the last 9.5 years. And Jeff's quote is, "I took the keys of this chair with humility. I step aside with a heart full of gratitude. It's been an honour and a privilege to work alongside our leadership team, players, coaches, staff, and above all our fans. Together, we have transformed the club into a global force battling at the highest level." He goes on to thank Fosun and the board for the trust and support for making Molineux shine. "My seat may change," he says. "My heart will still roar for this club every single game. I give my full support to the new management team and wish them every success in driving Wolves to greater heights." We'll come on to Nathan in a second, but your actual response, Chris, to the words from Jeff on his departure.
The analogy of taking the chair, keys to the chair, is a bit weird, but I mean, he obviously got a chair which he's been sitting in. The trouble is, it's not a new chair anymore. It's severely battered with a couple of arms hanging off and a couple of casters broken, and it needs it needs some extensive work doing to it. So you put a new guy in the chair, if the legs are broken, the arm's knackered, it ain't going to do any good, is it? So, using the chair analogy, which is obviously the football club, there's things that have got to change for the new guy to move it on.
Well said. Good points, Emma. Your reaction to Jeff Shi's closing words as he steps down?
I think it's genuine sentiment. I think he genuinely does want the best for Wolves, and you probably you can't come and do a job like that and not become a fan of the football club. So I think his sentiments in that he wishes us all the best are probably genuine. And I'm one of those that's like, cheers for the early days, Jeff. Sorry it fell apart under your watch, because he was there right at the beginning when we were successful.
Well, I remember the scene.
I look back and I think
when Fosun took over and Jeff walked through the door and all the high fives and stuff, he walked in with the fans so happy and cheerful, and it's sad the way it sort of ended for him in some ways, but it's been brought on by himself really over a few years, hasn't it?
But that success was only under Nuno, his team, and Gestafoot, and I think that probably carried him through. I think he possibly got a bit too big for his boots in that he thought he came in 2016 and said, "I know nothing about football," and he should have stuck with that mantra for the entirety of his reign. But I don't think he did. I think he meddled too much, and as a non-footballing man, that meddling has left us where we are.
I don't think he actually understood football properly. I think that was the core problem. I think you're right. I think he rode on the crest of the wave that Nuno created. They got a appointment right once, and that went well. And obviously Fosun and Jeff rode on the back of that, and it was all good. But he's gone on to seemingly fail virtually at every decision, every hurdle that he's come up against. I mean, even going back to the VAR vote where he stuck his neck up at the parapet. I know it was 19-1, but when you're running a company and you need to read the room, look around the rest of the Premier League owners and know where you're going. And if you're not gonna succeed, you're putting yourself in a position that you're not coming back from. And I don't know whether that was arrogance or stupidity, but
can I ask you a question on that, Chris?
Yeah.
Do you think that was attempt at trying? His reputation was already struggling with fans. There's already a lot of calls at this point for him to go. Do you think that was a failed attempt at a PR move to improve his standing with fans, rather than a genuine corporate decision as to that was what was needed for the club?
I think possibly, Emma. I think the mindset, what little dealing I've had with him face to face and spoke to him, I think he thinks he knows better, and I think he does things in a way that benefit him. And I think maybe he saw that as an opportunity to change a bit of opinion on himself, and get that feeling back. But yeah, as for his little goodbye message, I mean, anybody that's worked in an organization will have some tendency to wish it well. And don't forget, he's still connected to Wolves because he's going to be in the parent group that controls the football club. So whether he's actually, I've seen this in business lots of times, people are moved sideways upwards, and what that is usually the first step of them being managed out. And I think that's probably what's going to happen here. But and I wouldn't want to second guess Fosun at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, some really good points there on regards to that. I mean, they've spun it, haven't they? I mean, we were expecting the announcement around about 5 o'clock yesterday, and the announcement didn't come until a lot later. There was probably a lot of stuff to do. As I say, from our understanding, the senior management team were told at Compton yesterday morning. The rest of the staff, from my understanding, were being told around about 4:30. And so it took a little bit longer to come out, the thing, but obviously the things have got to be done, put in place, quotes, all of that sort of stuff probably has to be checked over. But it's said that he's stepping down. Now, from our understanding and what we've been told from inside the club, it wasn't a stepping down. This was the owner, Chairman Guo, who makes the decisions on the Fosun side of it. He was already disillusioned with how things were going. A bit like a chairman with a manager sometimes keeps the manager on a little bit longer, hoping things are going to change, things will turn around, the results will start coming, but eventually you have to get rid of the manager. I think maybe he waited a lot longer than he should have done to make that change with Jeff. Definitely, without any shadow of a doubt, the last year, how things have constantly gone. It all started, didn't it, with the if Wolves, if you want European tours and trophies, Wolves are not for you. That was really a turning point for a lot of people. Not too long ago, people were singing about Jeff Shi going and getting
his Lamborghini.
His Lamborghini. That was a kind of a high point. Obviously, he resigned. The quotes come out. He started doing these columns and all these things and strange things. When you take the hope away from fan base, as fans, we don't expect to be winning the league every year or winning trophies every year, but we do expect to have some hope. We expect to have some ambition. We expect to have a plan. and we don't expect to keep having excuses. And it's a bit like the boy that called wolf. If you keep coming up with the to reset or the project and you keep changing every sort of 10 to 11 months, eventually people stop listening and we don't believe a word that comes out your mouth. The protests have obviously started. The Shi out banners, we ourselves talking about it. I've been talking about Jeff Shi, myself personally, that he needs to be moved out or moved up to bring in a proper footballing CEO. Like you mentioned, the trust to put the I think it's a 20-something point mandate that CEOs or footballing CEOs on that, backed by all of the Wolves channels and podcasts as well, who've endorsed that too. And that's gone to the club. From my understanding, that you're going to get the trust are having a meeting with that, and obviously things can keep moving forward on that. But ultimately, the WM interview, from my understanding, was the last straw. It was a car crash of an interview. Jeff came across out of touch, uncaring. Don't worry. It's a bit like Emma said. It's when she said in a recent show that we did, the house is falling. The house is. What did you say, Emma, about the fire in the house? What did you say?
I can't remember. It was something like the house is on fire, but don't worry. We'll just have a cup of tea. That's
basically, yeah. That don't worry. The house is on fire, but everyone stay calm. It's like, yeah. Wow. That's was apparently very, very upset. Also, the councillor coming out sinking, although he said he's disappointed, our understanding from our sources is that the council are absolutely livid with the comments about, oh, well, we've not done something because the council haven't helped. There's a plan, Invest Wolverhampton plan, which includes the Molyneux Court, or a development around things and stuff like that. And that's not gone down very well. So it's quite interesting, the new guy that's come in, that he's mentioned that. Let's get on to the quote from the new guy that's coming in, interim at the moment. Let's see his quote for what he said, and it's quite interesting. Basically, commenting on his appointment, Nathan Shi said, "It's with great pride and honour that I join Wolverhampton Wanderers, a club with a rich and distinguished history in English football and deep roots in the city of Wolverhampton. I am privileged to have this opportunity to lead a club whose achievements both on and off the pitch are founded in collective effort from our players and coaching staff to our employees, supporters, the Wolverhampton Council and the wider community. I am grateful for the trust the board has placed in me. At this important and challenging moment, I look forward to working closely with all stakeholders to build a stronger future to help Wolves reach new heights. I believe that together as one pack, we can move forward, belief, pride, ambition, and unity." Chris, first to you. What do you pull out of that statement?
First point I pull out of that, Dave, is the reference direct to the council. That, you know, reading between the lines, I think this is clear indication that WM interview and the inconsistencies in Jeff's messages around the council are probably something that the chairman has had enough with. You can't go on a well, it's a local radio station and say things about a public body that are incorrect, and to say that he hasn't had the backing of the council was probably a very foolish thing to do. But that really is where I think we've been with Jeff for the last 3 years. He, I think, coming back to what we said earlier, says things to appease people in the short term. It's a sign of weak leadership, to be honest. You know, it's, yeah, you don't want to talk about, you need to do. You need to undertake actions and prove to people that you can lead. And unfortunately, he's said a lot of things and done nothing over the last 3 or 4 years. And anything he has done has probably not gone the right way, which is where we are. So, I mean, the main point I've got from that is it's all great stuff. Stakeholders liaising, one pack or fans, all that sort of stuff. But the proof's in the pudding, and Nathan Shi needs to address that and, you know, start making amends, because if he comes in and has the same mantra as the other Shi, then I don't really think we're going to get anywhere. And this really probably is, I think, we said it in the summer, this was a pivotal summer for Fosun. It hasn't worked. This is a pivotal point in their ownership. I think if they don't address these things and sort it out now, and this guy comes in and grabs it by the horns, if that's what he's doing, if he's not in an interim for an interim period, then it's going to be curtains for them, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. What did you mean by that last bit? If it's not interim for an interim period?
Well, because I believe he's interim because he's got to go through the fit and proper persons process, which is now done by the independent football regulator. And I think, as a Premier League club, he's probably the first person that's having to go through that under the new regime with the regulator. I don't know how long that's going to take, whether it's a slick process or not. I would assume there won't be any problems with that. He's been running a business in Europe, I think, pretty, for quite some time. So that he should pass all of those tests, I would think. And I don't think it's as strenuous as before, because he's a member of staff of the parent company. The ownership hasn't changed. So, I don't know whether he's just somebody at Fosun to bring it in to put somebody in to run it while Jeff's gone, while they look for a dedicated football CEO. I don't know. That's what I hope they do. Or maybe this guy comes in as a dual role and looks at the business element of it. I think he's got a background in innovative construction and that sort of thing. So maybe there's some element of Steve Ball work that's going to become part of his project. Maybe he's going to look at the business side of the club and get somebody in to manage the football side of the club, which is, what I would recommend.
Absolutely, well said, Emma. Your thoughts on Nathan Shi? Here he is on the screen now. He's a lot younger, very smart, coming in. I think he's been with Fosun since 2016. He's worked his way up. He's also part of Club Med, which is a successful arm of Fosun. What do you take on him coming in, what he said and what you're reading into that?
Well, like Chris, one of the key things I picked up on was the council. But if we look, he sort of implies he's going to collaborate with all the key stakeholders, coaches, management, staff, fans, supporters, across the board. We know Jeff was not a people person. We've heard the stories about him as a boss and an employer, but we've also seen it in action on things like WM, that his PR now is next to non-existent and his empathy isn't there. But hopefully the fact that he seems to be suggesting that he is going to collaborate and he wants to create that one pack mentality, he references one pack, that maybe he will be someone that can shore us up and take us forward. We want more communication from our leadership. There's still loads of questions that we need to know. Is this a new captain heading the ship, and are we changing direction, focus, strategy, approach, or are we just carrying on in the same way? I think the next few months will be telling as to what Foson's actual plans are for Wolves. I mean, personally, I wouldn't be happier than if we saw them really step up, invest in the infrastructure in the stadium, invest in the team, and I think this relationship between fans and Bosun is salvageable if they do that.
Can I ask you a question? Because you've got the Emma barometer, and your Emma barometer after the WM interview very much swung to more Fosun out, because you've always been like Fosun step up. From the early days, it swung over there. Where after this change that's happened last night, where's your barometer?
I still don't think Fosun are bad owners. They're not taking money out of the club. They're not particularly asset stripping to benefit themselves. The players that have been sold is to run the club. It's their lack of personal investment. I mean, we're still making a loss, and they're still covering those losses. It's a misconception to say that they're not putting any money in at all. I don't know. I'm skeptical, but hopeful that this change will also mean a change in strategy, and Fosun will show Wolves a bit of love.
Okay, Chris, where's your barometer?
My barometer is quite low at the moment, Dave. To be honest, there is, like I said, this pivotal moment. They need to address what's gone wrong. If they do that, if they start looking at the stadium, start looking at rebuilding the team, getting us going in the right trajectory, not spiraling downwards, which is what we're doing, then that's all well and good. But I mean, I'd urge people to, I've been in a privileged position because I've been able, as part of the trust, to have dialogue with the club. Not every fan gets that, Dave. So that's why we have protests, and I would still expect those protests to carry on in some manner, because unfortunately, with the way the club's been, that's all the average Joe in the street can do. It can only way he can show his dissatisfaction and try and get their point across is that now it's up to the owners and the club to turn that around and take that reason to do that away. We still have all the dialogue that we do with the trust with the owners, because you've got to have dialogue, you've got to do things in that way. But my barometer is very low. They really got to address some of these failings, and they are failings. It doesn't matter how you dress it up. The club, as the club ownership model, has failed the club and the supporters over the last 3 or 4 years. We've constantly sold our best players. We've not replaced them like for like with similar quality. We've jeopardized our Premier League standing and increased our prices in what is now a partly dilapidated stadium. So these are all the things that they need to address. I don't particularly want to see new owners. I want to give them the chance to prove that they are capable, like they did in the first 3 or 4 years. But they've got to really change their approach. Maybe this is the first step.
Well, I think you sum it up very eloquently. I think most fans, I'm not saying all, because there are certain fans that doesn't matter what happens, what they do, they will still be Fosun out, because that's just their mindset. Blinkered, that's how they think, and they're entitled to their opinion. Absolutely. I think most fans will recognise that under the first 3 or 4 years, we've had unbelievable times, and fans will also forgive a blip for a year or two, because, okay, we've had a bit of a step back, let's go again. But when it goes into 3, 4, 5 years and it's constant decline, managed decline, that's where eventually you lose. It's a bit like a football manager. Vitor Pereira won 6 games in a row, and look how popular he was. He was in the pub drinking the pints. Really popular guy. But then you start to get, we've lost a game, we've lost 2, we've lost 3. Okay, it's the end of the season. Okay, well, we've stayed up. Well done. Reset. But then you're sort of getting into where he's losing the plot, and you see all the stuff falling out behind the scenes with the players. Exactly the same thing has happened with Jeff over time. And, the likes of Russell Jones, Zoe Broff, Laura Dorrit, there's lots that have left. We know clash with Jeff because he wanted more money. This has been coming a very, very long time. And
Dave, you said managed decline. I don't believe this is a managed decline. I think it's actually a mismanaged decline. I think we declined because of we mismanaged. We haven't managed it that way, which is strategic for a company wanting to move out. I think this is mismanagement.
I actually like that terminology that you use there, mismanaged decline. I think actually it's been mismanaged, hasn't it?
I actually agree. I made a note that for the money that Wolves aren't broke, we've got money. For the money that we have and the money that we're spending, the performances should have been better, and that is mismanagement.
I think that's a really good point that you make, mismanaged decline. Look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you do. Winston Churchill once said, you can please some of the people all the time, all of the people some of the time, but there are some people, it doesn't matter what you do, you can't please them. People have been screaming for Jeff to be replaced. He has been replaced. He has gone. From directly managing Wolverhampton Wanderers. This new guy, Nathan, has come in. Like you say, interim to start with. Is the interim because he's got to go through the fit and proper owners test or whatever it is with regards to Premier League, and then it becomes permanent? Or is it interim because they will be bringing someone in like Dan Ashworth, someone like that, that's proper footballing CEO, which I think I agree with you, Chris, would be the ideal scenario. But all you can do now is you've got to there's a shift. We've got a new manager, we've got a new technical director, and we've now got a new chairman. That's 3 positions that are brand new. You do have to give it time to see what happens next, but we do need to hear more on the plans for the club going forward. What is the plan? What is the roadmap? What's going to happen on and off the field, the stadium and stuff like that? And hopefully we will hear from the new interim chairman, Nathan, at some point in the next week or 2. Hopefully he will be interviewed by Wolves and we can get to know him a bit more as a person and the type of person he is. I think the key thing is what Emma says, and I think what you've reflected to, is it going to be more of the same, i.e. autocratic management? Some people call it dictatorship. Or is it going to be collaborative and more transparent? And I think, Chris, that's kind of where you're getting to, isn't it? What we're going to find out.
Well, he's used that in that last sentence. He says collaborative. He talks about one pack. So he's already set himself up there to go on and demonstrate it. If we don't have collaboration, interaction, and start working as one pack in the next few months, then I'm afraid it's going to be a case of same she, different day. We'll be bemoaning the fact that, well, he hasn't really done anything that he said in his first, statement. So I'd hope that these people are not unintelligent. I can't believe he's going to say something like that and not, talking to people. It's just words, it's just time and words and effort. If he can't put that in, then I don't really know what to think.
I've just got to point out this. Neil White says Churchill was a warmonger. That says everything. That says everything about Neil, doesn't it? It's like, oh my God. I just can't believe.
Might have been, but it wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
Exactly right. Yeah, I mean, come on.
You'd be able to have a conversation with me in German, which you can't do at the moment.
You can speak fluent. You can speak. You could. Roman Abramovich would be a great owner. Okay. Well, that's fair enough. I mean, he's entitled to his opinions on that one. I think, isn't he been banned from owning things and his assets stripped because of the... Anyway, let's not go into all of that. Right, Emma, your final thoughts, and then Chris's final thoughts, and we'll close up the show.
Final thoughts. I just think watch this space with interest. I'd like to see this Nathan has a fresh chance. He has a fresh opportunity. I'd like him to see him talking to everyone across the club, including fans. I'd like to see investment from Fosun going forward, that they want to repair the wrongs of the last few years, and that this really is a new direction and not another false dawn. For me, it does feel a bit different, but I'm very much now, we've got to wait, we've got to see what's happened, but let's get behind Rob Edwards, let's get behind the team and focus on that for the time being.
Yeah, well said. Chris, final thoughts from you?
Yeah, I think I said it before. I think I think people still need to say their piece, and if they want to protest, they need to, because at the moment the club is not very healthy, and we need to give Nathan time to show that he's the man to lead the club. We've got to get behind him and the team. If we don't do that, it's not going to go anywhere. But we've got to see real change. For me, when I used to move jobs, and if I was taking over this job, I'd be very happy, because it isn't going to take much for you to show you're doing a much better job. So I always never used to shy away from taking on jobs there, the guy before it had a right disaster, because you can quite easily demonstrate that you're doing a better job. So come to the table, talk to people, talk to the fans. Some of the things that we talked about, fan focus groups and fan open days for fans and that sort of stuff. Communicate, talk to us.
Fan forum.
Yeah, fans forum. Talk to the fan base, understand the fan base. That's important. Understand the city, understand what we need. We are a very delicate bunch, our fans. So you've got to get us on side. You've got to understand what's important to us in Wolverhampton, and you've got to try and move us forward.
Well said. Now, listen, guys, I'm really grateful. Thank you to Chris, Emma, coming on. Obviously, it dropped late last night. I did a quick initial report on it whilst I was out. Thought it was important to do a little bit more in depth on it this morning and get people's opinions. So it's just literally 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning. We don't know it. So it's amazing that we've got like 200 of you that have joined. That have joined loads, and listen to it back. We'll put this out on the podcast as well, and you can leave your thoughts in the comment section below. We will, of course, be back after the game with reaction to the Brentford game, and extra time will be on Sunday night. We've got some great guests already lined up for that, so make sure you do subscribe, follow us, hit the bell notification, because that's going to be a really good show. Not only will we, of course, talk about the game and whatever the result will be against Brentford, hope we can get these 3 points and get a win. But, of course, we will be talking about more in depth as well with others about the Jeff Shi being removed as chairman, and Nathan Shi coming in, and hopefully can join us on Extra Time live on Sunday night as well. So from myself, Emma and Chris, thanks for joining us. We're going to get ready to get down to Molineux to cheer on the boys as well. Until the next one, always Wolves.
Always Wolves.